All right, everyone, it's time to talk about crazy Elizabeth Warren and her racial inequality comments. The other day, she's like, well, there's a big problem with racial inequality in the United States, but I got a plan. I'm thinking, oh, is your plan to tell everyone to just lie about their ethnicity? You know, you could. I mean, now you can be transracial. Look, you can be trans anything else, so why not? Why do we even have race for statistical and employment purposes? Like, I've often thought, like, with affirmative action, it's like, why don't you just strip the name, the gender, the race, everything off of college transcripts? It just gets a number from the local school and then gets sent into colleges as part of a national system. And then it's blind enrollment. The person chooses, these are the schools I want to send this to. You have a certain number that would be free, and then, you know, pay a fee to send them off to others or something. I think they already do that, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I applied to a college. And so you do that, and then they do blind enrollment. So they're just looking at courses you took, your grades, GPA, SAT scores, ACT scores, extracurriculars. So unless you're in the all-black youth choir or something like that, and that would just get anything that would be like indicative of race or gender would just be truncated. So instead of the all-black youth choir, just be you took choir or something like that. They wouldn't get the rest of the info unless they shortlisted you. That is, that they would accept the students. Everyone would be there. If they over-accept, of course, some people get bumped. That'd be handled by computer, total blind enrollment, no human intervention in that latter step. If you do that, you don't have to have affirmative action. It'll be entirely merit-based. By the way, it would be hilarious to see people try to construe that as a racist thing to do. So what's Elizabeth Warren's actual suggestion? I have a feeling it's something divisive. It's something like, it's probably something like, oh, white people bad, or you know, we've heard this from the Democratic Party before. They've got two basic camps of philosophy when it comes to the issue of race relations. There are those that want to punch people because of their socio-political or beliefs or their ethnicity. You know, like punch the MAGA hat wearer, punch the old white dude, because haha. That want to be violent. They're like, you know, they're fat college Starbucks Marxists, basically. They get together in a group, they get big balls and they get brave. You get them alone and they cower usually. So that's one group. And then the other one is more like the Clintonian side. And they basically take that same racist violence that the Democrats love so much and they put a suit on it. And they just say, well, no, we shouldn't be punching people for their beliefs. But if you have the wrong beliefs, you shouldn't be able to bank, you shouldn't be able to do social media, no vlogging for you, you can't write a book, you can't raise money, you can't have a house, you can't have a job. Basically, you become a non-entity within the U.S. It's very interesting how people find this to be acceptable as well. Supposedly enlightened liberal individuals have no problem with corporations being the one to make that determination as well. Elizabeth Warren smiles upon you, ignorant people. Dude, you gotta be ignorant to have those beliefs. So I'm finding it funny. I also find it funny because Elizabeth Warren is uniquely the only candidate within the Dem field that lied about her ethnicity. So I think we get a good indicator of her hypocrisy. She had that stupid genetic test that she did, the cheek swab bullshit, and it said she might, and this is even speculative, she might have some Mesoamerican ancestry. Oh, but it could be like, you know, from Peru or something. She doesn't know. Dude, you could objectively say, no, she is not Native American. The problem being, for what was it, her master's degree or something, she put down Native American as her ancestry. And you know that she did that for certain, you know, reasons related to affirmative action, real or imagined. So, yeah, it's a little bit problematic when she's talking about this. It's sort of like when people talk about the glass ceiling. Look, Elizabeth Warren's voting bloc is mainly like the strong, empowered women class of people with pink hair. And that represents her 5 to 7% represents the chunk of the Democratic Party that's really out to left field, you know, or at least one of those blocks. If they care mostly about money, if they want free shit, they're Sanders fans. If they're mainly into race as a wedge issue and they don't have a problem with tough on crime shit, if they're hypocrites, then they're a Kamala fan. If they're more feminist in their social justice warriordom, they're voting for Warren. And so those are the three identity politics blocks within the party. You get a few others that are small, that are scattered around, but the rest of the candidates, it's like Biden wins if all the other low-level candidates drop out, most of their votes are going to go to him. They're not going to go to Sanders, they're not going to go to Kamala Harris, they're not going to go to Elizabeth Warren. By the way, that's a good thing for the Democratic Party because between the three of them, you're talking about the mid to upper 30s or maybe 40% on a good day. That means that the neoliberal bloc is still maintaining control. They're reabsorbing some of those center leftists, and hopefully Biden manages to stave off the red menace within his party. Probably save him. is when he loses, they'll undergo a massive schism. They'll identify the far left inevitably as the problem, which is mostly true, although not completely. Kick him out of the party entirely. They'll become Greens or commies or something, which is what they are. They're communists. It'd be funny about Elizabeth Warren talking about racial inequality. Yeah, like how you took a college slot potentially from some black kid because you put down that you were part of an underprivileged group, supposedly. By the way, it's very funny to see when the left talks about all these things. You have to have a nation state in order to have that racial conglomerate that you can make statements about. Like, if you're talking about minorities, overall, white is the minority in the world at large. But if you look at it from a globalist perspective, then, that should be the minority you're talking about. Then you have to default to talking about privilege. See, it's sort of like, global warming became climate change because the globe wasn't warming enough. So they make it climate change. By the way, not getting into that debate. Yes, climate change is real. No, I do not believe it is primarily man-made. I think it's primarily a natural cycle, and be very thankful that it is. Still a problem, though, admittedly. If you think there's much humans can do about it, then you should look at the lame-brained proposals that are being made by our politicians. They're not going to stop pollution. They're just going to ship it off to Asia and make you feel cleaner about your own life. It's basically a bunch of bullshit for them to be able to enact more taxes. But try and tell a climate radical that, and they'll call you a conspiracy theory. My God, politicians lie. They're opportunists, and they try to bilk people out of money using topical issues. My God, you are a conspiracy theorist. It's amazing how far the left has fallen in just the last 15 or so years. I remember like the anti-war left and stuff. Now look at these losers up on stage. Mike Gravel is the only holdover, and he's almost 90. Yeah, he has my and he's actually far. He basically is a fucking commie. I like him more than most of the other Democrats. Biden looks like the sane one. That's saying a lot about the party, and it's not saying anything good. Elizabeth Warren's nuts. Elizabeth Warren wouldn't be able to debate Trump anyway. Have you noticed the fact that every time she is questioned and challenged, she scowls and gets irate? She starts raising her voice and goes fucking ballistic. Now that's not going to work on a debate stage in the general. It'll work if you're running as a Democrat. The Democrats uniquely will look at that and say, well, strong woman. Okay, yeah, we like this. She's a firebrand. What the general public will see, though, and they're not the ones voting in the Democratic primaries, they're voting in the general between her, potentially, or whoever else, and Trump. They're going to see an irate, old, crazy, rich lady who is self-righteous and lies all the time. That is not going to work, dude. If Elizabeth Warren's the nominee, I'll predict Trump's win fucking day one when she accepts the nomination. Because it would be such a foregone fucking conclusion what's going to happen by the time of the debates. So be forewarned, Elizabeth Warren fans, and I know some of them are vicious people. Like the Bernie Sanders fans are afraid of them at this point. It's really even the Clinton fans are afraid of her. People, it's really funny. Probably because she's literally she's fucking nuts. There's something wrong with somebody who looks at their genetic report and says, okay, I've claimed to be like full-blooded fucking Cherokee because of my cheekbone structure and some vague rumors about some distant ancestor. And I lie about this. I'm going to take a genetic test, and then when it shows the exact opposite of what I'm saying, I'm still going to release it to the public instead of saying, okay, well, I guess that's a dud. I guess I won't bother releasing it at all. There's something seriously wrong with some of these people. Like Biden inviting the kids up on stage to make a Me Too joke is no great glorious day in the sun either. There's a lot of political mistakes being made right now by the Democrats, and largely the people are oblivious to the fact that they're doing it. That's about all. Peace out.